Every journey toward greatness begins long before the world sees the results. It begins in silence, inside the mind of a single person who makes a decision that most people never make, a decision that seems simple on the surface, yet it carries the weight of destiny within it. That decision is to choose a definite purpose, not a vague wish, not a blurry dream, not a fragile desire that collapses the moment life becomes difficult. A definite purpose is a mental commitment so strong that it reshapes the identity of the person who carries it. Most people wander through life with no direction, hoping that someday success will accidentally find them. They move from job to job, idea to idea, goal to goal, hoping something will click. But life does not reward the wanderer. Life rewards the focused. It rewards the individual who knows exactly what they want and refuses to let the world distract them from it. A definite purpose acts like a compass. It keeps you pointed toward the mountain you were meant to climb, even when storms try to push you off your path. When you choose a definite purpose, everything in your life begins to reorganize around that one choice. Your habits begin to shift. Your thoughts begin to strengthen. Your energy stops scattering in 1,000 directions and instead becomes concentrated, sharp, powerful. When you wake up with a purpose, your mind stops asking, "Can I do this?" and starts asking, "How can I do this?" That single shift from doubt to direction rewires your entire future. But understand this. Choosing a definite purpose is not about wishing for something to happen. It is about deciding. A wish is passive. A decision is active. A wish waits. A decision moves. A wish believes life owes it something. A decision understands that nothing will change until you change first. That is why the moment you choose a definite purpose, you feel a spark inside you wake up because your mind finally has a North Star. This is the same principle all great achievers used. Every person Napoleon Hill studied had one thing in common. They all knew what they wanted. Their purpose was crystal clear. It wasn't, "I want a better life." It wasn't, "I hope to succeed." Their purpose was specific, intense, burning. Henry Ford didn't say, "I want to do something with machines." He said, "I will build a motor car for the masses." Thomas Edison didn't say, "I hope to contribute to science." He said, "I will light the world." Andrew Carnegie didn't say, "I want to make money." He said, "I will dominate the steel industry." Their clarity created their power, their purpose shaped their mind, and their mind shaped their destiny. A definite purpose acts like a filter. It removes the meaningless from your life. You stop giving attention to gossip, negativity, distractions, and temporary pleasures that waste your potential. Your focus sharpens, your discipline strengthens. You begin to say no to anything that doesn't push you closer to the person you are trying to become. And this is what most people never understand. Success does not start with doing more. Success starts with eliminating what does not matter. The moment you choose a definite purpose, the world begins to test you. Obstacles appear, doubts arise. People question you. Fear whispers in your ear. This is not a sign that your purpose is wrong. It is a sign that your purpose is real. Because if your purpose doesn't challenge you, it will never change you. A real purpose will demand that you grow into the kind of person who can achieve it. It will pull out your strength. It will expose your weaknesses. It will force you to evolve. And that evolution is the very path that leads you to success. But the most powerful part of having a definite purpose is the transformation it creates inside your identity. Something changes in the way you walk, in the way you speak, in the way you think. You stop waiting for permission. You stop seeking approval. You stop living small. You begin to carry yourself like someone who knows where they are going. Your energy becomes different. Your presence becomes stronger. People may not know what you are working toward, but they feel the shift in you. A definite purpose becomes a reason to endure when life gets heavy. It becomes the fuel that keeps you moving when you are tired, when you are discouraged, when progress feels slow. Without a purpose, struggle feels pointless. With a purpose, struggle becomes meaningful. Pain becomes progress. Setbacks become steps. Failure becomes information. Everything becomes part of your mission. And here's the truth. You don't need permission to choose your purpose. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to have everything figured out. You only need to decide. Decide what you want. Decide who you want to become. Decide what you are willing to give your life to. Once that decision is made, the rest of your journey begins to unfold. Your definite purpose is not just a goal. It is the anchor of your life, the foundation of your success, the blueprint of your future. You create your purpose, and then your purpose creates you. Your entire life is being shaped by something most people never pay attention to, the thoughts they allow to live inside their mind. Every day, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, your mind is creating interpretations, judgments, beliefs, and meanings. These quiet, invisible thoughts form the foundation of your destiny. And the truth most people ignore is this: your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. The mindset you carry is not just a feeling, it is a force that influences every choice you make, every opportunity you notice, every challenge you respond to, and every limitation you either accept or break. Long before you take action, long before you build habits, long before success becomes visible, it begins in a place no one else can see: your mindset. People assume life is controlled by circumstances, luck, or talent, but the real architect of your future is the pattern of thoughts you repeat every single day. If those thoughts are weak, confused, fearful, or scattered, they will build a life that matches that weakness and confusion. But when your thoughts become strong, directed, confident, and intentional, your entire life begins to rise to the level of that inner strength. You cannot think negatively and expect a positive life. You cannot think small and expect big results. You cannot think like a victim and expect the world to treat you like a leader. Your mindset determines the quality of your decisions, and your decisions determine the direction of your entire life. Your mindset is the lens through which you see everything. Two people can face the exact same situation. One sees an obstacle, the other sees a lesson. One sees a reason to quit, the other sees a reason to grow stronger. One sees fear, the other sees possibility. Life does not change for them, their mindset does. And because their mindset shifts, their future shifts. Most people allow the world to shape their mind. They let past failures dictate their beliefs. They let negative people influence their confidence. They let society convince them of their limits. They accept the thoughts life throws at them instead of choosing the thoughts they want to live by. But powerful people, successful people, reverse that process. They shape their mind first, and the world follows. This is why Napoleon Hill said, "You become what you think about." He wasn't speaking poetically, he meant it literally. What you think about repeatedly becomes what you expect. What you expect becomes what you attract. And what you attract becomes the reality you live in. Your mind is a magnet, and you are always pulling toward you the experiences that match the dominant thoughts you hold. If your mind is filled with doubt, your opportunities shrink. If your mind is filled with fear, your actions weaken. If your mind is filled with excuses, your results suffer. But when your mind is filled with belief, your courage expands. When your mind is filled with clarity, your progress accelerates. When your mind is filled with purpose, distractions lose their power. Your mindset sets the thermostat of your life. Some people have their internal thermostat set to average, so everything in their life returns to average. Average habits, average results, average dreams. Others have their thermostat set to extraordinary, and no matter how many setbacks hit them, they rise back to that level because their mind refuses to live below what it believes it deserves. The people who achieve greatness do not think like the world. They think above the world. They think beyond their circumstances. They think past their past. They think differently, boldly, intentionally. Their thoughts are aligned with where they are going, not where they have been. And that alignment is what pulls them toward greatness. Your mind creates momentum long before your actions do. A single upgraded thought can elevate your emotions. Elevated emotions fuel stronger actions. Stronger actions create bigger results. Bigger results reinforce stronger beliefs. And this cycle repeats and becomes unstoppable. This is why the most important work you can ever do is inner work, the work of watching your thoughts, challenging your beliefs, replacing the mental patterns that shrink your potential with those that expand it. Your mind is not your enemy. Your mind is a tool, but if you don't take control of it, it will be controlled by fear, by doubt, by old programming you didn't choose. You must train your mind the way an athlete trains their body, consistently, intentionally, with discipline. You must build mental strength, mental clarity, mental resilience. You must teach your mind to focus on solutions rather than problems, growth rather than fear, purpose rather than distractions. When your mindset becomes powerful, your life begins to transform in ways that seem almost unfair to the outside world. Because while they were reacting, you were preparing. While they were doubting themselves, you were strengthening yourself. While they were trapped in the same old thinking, you were rewiring your mind for success. And over time, these small inner shifts become giant outer victories. The most valuable real estate in your life is the space between your ears. Control that space, and the world cannot stop you. Lose control of it, and the world doesn't even need to stop you because you will stop yourself. There is a myth people love to believe, the myth that success comes from one big moment, one big opportunity, one big breakthrough that suddenly changes everything. But this is never how greatness is built. Success is not the result of a single powerful action. It is the result of thousands of small actions, repeated again and again, long after the excitement has faded and long before the world gives you recognition. Consistency is the quiet force that separates dreamers from doers and doers from achievers. Every person who has ever built something extraordinary understood this truth. The world rewards the person who keeps showing up, not the one who shows up only when they feel motivated, not the one who works hard only when conditions are perfect, but the one who keeps going day after day, even on the days when they feel tired, unmotivated, uninspired, or unsure. Because it is in those difficult days that true momentum is built. Most people underestimate the power of small actions. They think only big steps matter. They want massive transformation overnight. They want rapid changes, fast progress, quick results. And when they don't see these immediately, they quit. But every giant accomplishment is made of tiny, almost invisible steps. The greatest achievers did not rely on motivation. They relied on discipline. They did not wait for energy. They created momentum. They did not hope for consistency. They built it. Think about a drop of water falling on a rock. One drop changes nothing. 10 drops change nothing. But thousands of drops over time carve through stone, not because of force, but because of consistency. Your habits work the same way. One powerful day changes little. One weekday does not destroy you, but your daily patterns, repeated over weeks, months, and years, those patterns carve your future. Every day you show up, you tell your mind who you are. You tell your identity what it should believe about itself. Every repeated action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. If you exercise today, it doesn't transform your body, but it reinforces the identity of someone who takes care of their health. If you work on your goals today, it may not change your life instantly, but it reinforces the identity of someone who moves toward their future instead of running from it. These repeated identity votes, stacked over time, create transformation that feels unstoppable. Consistency is powerful because it compounds. The first time you try something new, it feels heavy. The next time, it becomes easier. Over time, your brain begins to automate it. What was once difficult becomes natural. What was once confusing becomes familiar. What was once intimidating becomes effortless. This is why the people who stay consistent eventually outperform those who are merely talented. Talent loses to discipline when discipline refuses to quit. Inconsistency is the silent enemy of progress. It destroys momentum. It breaks patterns. It resets growth. And yet, most people fall into the trap of waiting for the perfect time to start or restart. They keep telling themselves, I'll begin when I feel ready, when I have more time, when life calms down. But life will never magically create space for your dreams. You must carve the space yourself. You must decide that your goals matter more than your excuses. You must choose progress over comfort. Progress is rarely visible at first. You can go to the gym for a week and see nothing. You can work on a business idea for a month and see nothing. You can practice a skill for months and feel like you're barely improving. Most people interpret this slow progress as failure and quit. But the truth is, slow progress is still progress. Invisible progress is still progress. Internal progress, the kind no one sees yet, is still progress. Success does not happen in straight lines. It happens in layers. Every day you stay consistent, you lay down another layer. One day the layers become thick enough that the world sees something extraordinary. But until that day comes, you must be willing to work in the shadows. You must be willing to grind while nobody claps. You must be willing to keep going when nothing seems to be happening. This is the price of greatness. This is the law of consistent action. Look at nature. A seed grows underground long before it breaks the surface. A tree strengthens its roots before it stretches its branches. Seasons change slowly, yet inevitably. Nature does not rush, but it never stops. And because it never stops, it transforms everything. Human potential works the same way. When you show up consistently, you outgrow your old limitations. You outgrow the old version of yourself. You outgrow the excuses, the doubts, the habits that kept you small. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they lack patience. They want results faster than they are willing to work. They crave the reward but resist the routine. They dream big but take small breaks, breaks that last weeks, months, sometimes years, and then they wonder why their life looks the same. The ones who win don't stop. They don't take long breaks from their purpose. They don't allow comfort to steal their potential. They get up every day and choose their future over their feelings. Consistency builds confidence, not the fake kind that comes from hype or motivation, but the real kind that comes from evidence. When you see yourself showing up every day, even when it's hard, you begin to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. Because the most dangerous person in the world is the one who believes deeply in their own ability to follow through. Your dreams are not waiting for perfection. They are waiting for consistency. The world does not reward the person who works intensely once in a while. It rewards the person who works steadily, repeatedly, persistently, the person who keeps laying bricks, even when the wall seems incomplete, the person who keeps climbing, even when the top seems far, the person who keeps moving, even when the pace is slow. Because slow progress is still progress, and consistent progress becomes greatness. There is a force inside every human being that has the power to rebuild a broken life, to transform a struggling mind, to turn an impossible dream into a living reality. It cannot be seen, cannot be weighed, cannot be measured with tools, yet it is stronger than fear, stronger than doubt, stronger than any obstacle you will ever face. That force is faith, not the kind spoken about casually, not the shallow optimism that disappears when difficulty arrives, but the deep, unshakable belief in your own ability to achieve what you desire. Faith is the engine behind all achievement. It is the invisible fuel that powers persistence, courage, discipline, and resilience. Without faith, your mind collapses under pressure. Without faith, small setbacks feel like permanent failures. Without faith, your dreams remain trapped in your imagination. But when faith takes root inside you, everything changes. Problems shrink. Possibilities expand. Doors appear where there were once only walls. Faith strengthens the mind and awakens the power needed to succeed. Most people misunderstand faith. They think it is something that comes after they see progress. They think they will believe in themselves once they have proof, once they achieve something, once life shows them a sign. But that is not how faith works. That is how comfort works. Faith does not follow evidence. Faith creates evidence. Faith does not wait for results. Faith brings results. Faith is the ability to see the finish line when no one else can. It is the decision to believe in the outcome even when the path looks unclear. Napoleon Hill discovered that every successful person he studied possessed this same inner certainty. They believed in their vision long before the world believed in them. They believed in their abilities long before they had mastered them. They believed in their dream long before the results showed up. Faith was their companion when they had no support, no validation, no encouragement. It was faith that carried them through rejection, failure, and setbacks. The world tries to convince you to doubt yourself. Your past tries to chain you to old patterns. Your fears whisper that you are not capable, not worthy, not strong enough. But faith cuts through those lies. Faith tells you that your past does not own your future. Faith tells you that what you desire was placed in your heart for a reason. Faith tells you that you have the strength to evolve, to grow, to rise. Self-belief is not arrogance. It is alignment with your potential. Faith transforms fear into fuel. When you believe deeply in your purpose, fear stops being a barrier and becomes a signal. Every fear highlights where you are meant to grow. Every doubt points to the next level you are ready to unlock. Faith does not remove fear. It outpowers it. It gives you the courage to take action even when fear stands in your way. Fear is loud, but faith is stronger. Fear tries to paralyze you, but faith pushes you forward. There will be moments in your journey when nothing makes sense, when everything feels uncertain, when the dream seems too far. These are the moments where most people quit. They mistake uncertainty for failure and discomfort for danger. But those who possess faith keep moving forward. They trust that the process is shaping them. They understand that the path to success is not straight. It takes twists, turns, detours, and delays. Faith is what carries you through the moments where logic tells you to stop. Faith also has a powerful influence on the subconscious mind. Your subconscious listens to your dominant beliefs, your strongest feelings, and the thoughts you repeat daily. When you speak with faith, you program your subconscious to align with your desires. That alignment changes your behavior, increases your confidence, sharpens your intuition, and attracts opportunities you would never have seen otherwise. Faith makes you act like the person you are becoming, not the person you used to be. Belief is a form of creation. When you imagine a better future and believe in it fully, you begin to think, speak, and behave in ways that pull that future toward you. You notice opportunities you once ignored. You act boldly in situations where you once hesitated. You solve problems with clarity instead of panic. Faith turns chaos into order. It takes the scattered energy of your mind and focuses it into a single direction. People who lack faith are easily shaken. A small criticism discourages them. A minor failure destroys their confidence. A single obstacle convinces them to give up. But those who possess faith become unbreakable. They rise again and again. They face adversity with calm determination. They trust that every challenge is building the strength required for the next level of their journey. Faith is not something you wait to feel. It is a choice you make every day, a commitment to believe in your vision, no matter how many reasons your mind gives you to doubt. It is choosing to speak power over your life instead of fear. It is choosing to see possibility where others see limitation. It is choosing to take the next step even when the full path is not visible. Your faith becomes your foundation. It becomes the inner anchor that holds you steady when life shakes you. When people doubt you, your faith keeps you moving. When progress is slow, your faith keeps you disciplined. When challenges overwhelm you, your faith reminds you of who you are becoming. And when success finally arrives, it is your faith that proves you were worthy of it all along. Every person who has ever achieved something extraordinary in life possessed one trait that the world rarely talks about: the ability to act without waiting to feel ready. People waste years believing they need more motivation, more confidence, more clarity, or more certainty before they can begin. But the truth is that action itself creates clarity. Action itself generates confidence. Action itself summons the energy needed to continue. When you decide to move despite not feeling prepared, you step into a realm where very few people have the courage to stand. This is the level where greatness is forged, where minds become stronger, and where your internal power wakes up and starts working for you. The reason most people remain stuck is not because they lack intelligence or resources. It is because they remain trapped in endless thinking. They analyze every possibility, evaluate every outcome, imagine every failure, and without even realizing it, they bury themselves under fears that never truly existed. They wait for the perfect time, but the perfect time is only created through movement. You do not learn to swim by standing on the shore. You learn by stepping into the water. The first step feels uncomfortable, the second feels uncertain, but the third begins shaping who you become. Suddenly, the fear you once had loses its grip, and something powerful takes its place: momentum. Momentum is a force more valuable than talent, more powerful than education, and more dependable than luck. Once it builds, it becomes difficult to stop. But momentum is only built when you start, no matter how small the step. And this is what separates dreamers from achievers. Dreamers continue to wait for inspiration. Achievers create inspiration through deliberate, repeated action. Achievers know that progress is rarely dramatic in the beginning. It looks slow, it feels insignificant, and it almost always goes unnoticed. But beneath the surface, a quiet transformation is taking place. Your mind begins rewriting its beliefs about what you can do, your spirit becomes harder to break, and possibilities that once felt unreachable suddenly feel closer. When you take action without waiting for motivation, you teach your subconscious mind something powerful: I move first and everything else follows. Your subconscious begins adjusting to your new identity. It stops resisting and starts cooperating. Doors appear where walls once stood. Opportunities show themselves where you once saw none. Your courage starts rising from within, not because the world changed, but because you changed your relationship with fear. You stop asking, "What if I fail?" And you begin asking, "What if this is the moment my entire life shifts?" The world has conditioned people to wait, to wait for support, for permission, for confidence, for certainty, for a perfect environment. But every successful person you admire broke this conditioning. They moved when no one believed in them. They acted when they didn't know how things would turn out. They took the step even when their voice trembled and their hands shook, because they understood something most people never learn. Readiness is a myth. No one is ever completely ready. If you wait to feel prepared, you will wait forever. But when you act before you feel ready, you begin sculpting a version of yourself that is far stronger than the person you started as. The moment you begin acting without waiting is the moment life begins cooperating with you. You start attracting solutions, attracting people, attracting ideas, attracting opportunities, not because they were never there, but because you finally stepped into a frequency where you could see them. Taking action reveals what thinking alone never can. It exposes your real strengths, uncovers hidden abilities, and teaches you lessons that no book or teacher could possibly deliver to you. Each step forward increases your intelligence, sharpens your intuition, and strengthens your spirit. And perhaps the greatest gift of action is that it eliminates regret. At the end of your life, you will not regret the steps you took. You will regret the steps you avoided. You will not regret trying. You will regret the moments you chose fear over possibility. The courage to take action, especially when you feel uncertain, is the courage that separates the ordinary from the legendary. It is this courage that builds empires, heals broken identities, transforms destinies, and awakens greatness within the human soul. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must decide whether they will live by the opinions of others or rise on the strength of their own inner conviction. Almost everyone grows up surrounded by voices. Voices of doubt, voices of fear, voices that tell them what is realistic, what is possible, what is safe, and what they should or should not attempt. These voices shape the minds of millions, silently convincing them to limit their dreams and settle for far less than they are capable of becoming. But what separates extraordinary individuals from the rest is their ability to silence external noise and trust the quiet but powerful voice that lives within them. That inner voice is your highest intelligence speaking to you. It is the part of you that knows your potential even when the world cannot see it. It is the part of you that pushes you toward a vision that others may call impossible or impractical. It is the part of you that refuses to let you shrink into comfort when destiny is calling you to grow. Yet most people ignore it because following it often means standing alone. It means moving forward without applause, without validation, and without guarantees. But this is the price of greatness: the willingness to trust yourself when no one else does. When you rely too much on the approval of others, your mind becomes weak, your decisions become uncertain, and your progress becomes limited by the expectations of people who are not living your life. You begin shaping your choices based on fear of criticism, fear of judgment, fear of rejection. And a mind controlled by fear can never access its true power. It becomes reactive, defensive, and cautious, constantly trying to avoid the disapproval of others. This is how dreams die quietly, not because they were impossible, but because their owner never gave themselves permission to pursue them. Your life changes the moment you realize that other people's opinions are not the compass that should guide your destiny. Their doubts are shadows created by their own insecurities, their own failures, their own limitations. They are not a reflection of your capability. They are a reflection of their mindset. And if you allow their fears to shape your identity, you inherit limitations that were never yours to begin with. You stop seeing your own strengths, and you start seeing yourself through the distorted lens of their doubts. But the moment you begin trusting your inner voice, something incredible happens. Your mind becomes clearer. Your spirit becomes stronger. Your actions become more decisive. And for the first time, you begin living a life that feels aligned with who you truly are, not who others expect you to be. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into small places. You stop lowering your vision to match the comfort zones of people who have never dared to dream boldly. People may call you unrealistic, but they forget that every great innovation in history was once considered unrealistic. People may call you crazy, but they forget that every breakthrough thinker was labeled crazy until the world finally understood their genius. People may criticize you, But they forget that criticism is merely the background noise that accompanies every person who walks a path others are too afraid to walk. When you stop fearing judgment, the world loses its power over you. And when the world loses its power over you, your inner power finally rises to the surface. Your intuition is the map your soul uses to guide you. It leads you toward experiences that will strengthen you, toward challenges that will shape you, toward opportunities that will expand you. It whispers direction when logic cannot find a path. It shows possibilities that the world dismisses. And when you honor it, when you trust it, you begin living in alignment with a higher intelligence that sees far beyond the limitations of the present moment. Trusting yourself does not mean you will never feel fear. It means you will move forward even when fear stands in your way. It means acknowledging uncertainty without becoming paralyzed by it. It means believing that you are capable of learning, adapting, overcoming, and evolving through every experience. You become unstoppable not because you have no doubts, but because you no longer let doubts make your decisions for you. There is a fire inside you that ignites the moment you stop living for the approval of others and begin living for the expansion of your own spirit. That fire grows stronger every time you act from your inner truth. It sharpens your perception, raises your standards, and builds an identity that is not shaken by external opinions. When you begin trusting yourself, people start seeing a version of you they've never seen before. A person who is centered, confident, grounded, and resilient. A person who is no longer looking outward for direction because they have learned to look inward for power. There is one secret that separates those who achieve extraordinary success from those who merely dream about it, and it is often overlooked because it requires the kind of inner discipline and self-awareness most people are unwilling to cultivate. This secret is the mastery of your emotional energy, the ability to control your reactions, your moods, and your inner state regardless of external circumstances. People often underestimate how much their emotional state determines their results. A brilliant idea left in the hands of a restless, negative, or uncertain mind will never flourish. But that same idea placed in a mind that is calm, focused, and persistent can grow into something unimaginable. Emotional mastery begins with awareness. Most individuals are ruled by emotions they do not understand. They react to events instead of responding. They let fear, doubt, and anger dictate their decisions. One small insult can destroy a day. One minor setback can crush confidence. And one critical comment can undo weeks of progress. They carry these emotional burdens like invisible chains, and every action they take is slightly weakened by their inability to control their inner world. Success, however, demands something different. The power to remain steady, to remain composed, and to harness emotions as a tool rather than a weapon against yourself. When you begin mastering your emotional energy, every challenge becomes an opportunity rather than a threat. A problem no longer feels like a mountain, it becomes a puzzle waiting to be solved. Criticism no longer feels like a personal attack, it becomes information that can guide you toward improvement. Setbacks no longer evoke despair, they become lessons that accelerate growth. The mastery of emotions is not about suppression, it is about direction. It is about channeling the intense energy of fear into courage, the frustration of delay into determination, and the disappointment of failure into insight. This is what makes high achievers unstoppable. They do not allow temporary emotional storms to derail them from their long-term vision. They understand that external circumstances are rarely under their control, but their response to those circumstances is always within their control. A single moment of panic can undo months of disciplined effort, while a single moment of calm, focused decision-making can transform a minor setback into a stepping stone toward victory. Emotional mastery is the invisible lever that multiplies the impact of every action you take. It is also a catalyst for mental clarity. When your emotions are unregulated, your thinking becomes clouded. Decisions that should be obvious become difficult. Opportunities are overlooked. Relationships are strained. But when you train yourself to remain emotionally centered, your mind gains a precision that is rare in the world. You begin seeing solutions before problems fully manifest. You begin anticipating obstacles before they arrive. You begin attracting allies and resources that were invisible to a mind consumed by emotional chaos. Your focus becomes magnetic, and your energy becomes contagious. Mastering your emotions also builds resilience. Life will continue to test you. Challenges will continue to appear. People will doubt you and circumstances will shift unpredictably. But when you are anchored in your emotional control, you are untouchable by the external turmoil that derails others. You transform each trial into an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. You begin to operate from a space of power rather than reaction, and this creates momentum that fear, doubt, or negativity cannot stop. It becomes a force field that protects your progress while enhancing your effectiveness in every endeavor. The cultivation of emotional mastery requires practice. It requires the willingness to observe your inner state without judgment, to recognize the triggers that provoke fear or anger, and to consciously choose how you will respond. Each time you respond with awareness rather than reflex, you build a neural pathway of power. Each time you convert frustration into focus, doubt into curiosity, and fear into courage, your inner architecture strengthens. Over time, this becomes automatic, and your mind operates as a well-tuned instrument capable of generating extraordinary results even in the most chaotic environments. Finally, mastering emotional energy unlocks your influence over others. Humans respond not only to what you say, but to the emotional state you convey. Leaders, innovators, and visionaries understand that calm, confident, and inspired energy attracts people, opportunities, and circumstances toward them. Emotional mastery allows you to radiate certainty and purpose. It makes your presence felt even when you are silent. People sense the inner power that refuses to be shaken, and they are drawn to it. This is a force far more powerful than charisma or luck. It is the magnetism of a disciplined mind that rules its own emotional world. There is a force within the human mind that most people never fully tap into, a force so powerful that it can reshape every area of life if properly directed. That force is the ability to create and maintain a visionary focus, a mental clarity so precise that it aligns every thought, every action, and every choice with a higher purpose and long-term goal. Most people live scattered, their attention fragmented, their energy wasted on trivialities, distractions, and noise. They try to chase success, but they do not understand that success is not found by reacting to life. It is created by intentionally designing it, and vision is the compass that guides that design. Visionary focus begins with a clear understanding of what you truly desire, not the superficial wants imposed by society, not the fleeting pleasures others tell you to seek, but the deep, soul-driven purpose that ignites your passion and keeps you awake at night. Until you can articulate that vision in your mind, the world will pull you in endless directions, and you will drift. But when the vision is clear, it acts like a gravitational field, pulling resources, opportunities, and even people into alignment with your intent. Your mind begins to unconsciously filter for what matters and discard what doesn't. Every decision, every action, every habit becomes a building block toward your ultimate creation. The challenge lies not in having a vision. It lies in maintaining focus on that vision despite the chaos of the world. Life will always bombard you with distractions, detours, and doubts. The average person responds to each interruption, letting external circumstances dictate their mood, their priorities, and their energy. But those who achieve extraordinary results learn to treat distractions like static. They acknowledge it, but they do not let it change their trajectory. They operate from the principle that energy follows attention. Where you place your mental focus, your life follows. This kind of focus also demands alignment between the conscious and subconscious mind. Your conscious mind can generate ideas, plans, and strategies, but your subconscious mind carries the power to transform those ideas into reality. If your conscious desires are scattered or unclear, your subconscious energy is diluted, and the results you attract will reflect that confusion. But when your vision is precise, emotionally charged, and consistently reinforced, your subconscious begins to act as an engine, aligning your behaviors, intuition, and even your circumstances toward the fulfillment of that vision. This is the silent law that the greatest achievers in history have used. Mental alignment amplifies action, magnifies persistence, and accelerates results. Another layer of visionary focus is the ability to prioritize relentlessly. Every choice you make either adds fuel to your vision or distracts from it. Ordinary people spend their energy on things that do not matter, reacting to crises that do not advance their goals. Extraordinary people ruthlessly filter every task, conversation, and commitment through the lens of their vision. They ask, does this move me closer to my purpose, or does it pull me away? This discipline is invisible, but it compounds every day. Over time, the person who masters focus accumulates exponential advantage, while the person who is distracted drifts farther from where they want to go. Visionary focus also requires courage. The clarity of vision will often illuminate the gap between your current self and your future potential, and that gap can be intimidating. Most people look at the difference and feel overwhelmed. Most people let fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of uncertainty stop them. But those who embrace visionary focus see the gap as an invitation, not a threat. They understand that the discomfort of growth is temporary, but the consequences of indecision are permanent. They move toward their vision with deliberate courage, taking consistent action even when the path is uncertain. When focus and vision align with action, something remarkable happens: synchronicity. Opportunities that once seemed random begin appearing with uncanny timing. Right people enter your life. Resources and information show up exactly when you need them. Challenges transform into lessons and stepping stones. The universe begins responding to your internal alignment, and what once felt like chance now feels like destiny. The mind of a focused visionary becomes a magnet, not through magic, but through disciplined clarity, persistent energy, and unwavering belief in the unseen potential. Finally, visionary focus gives life meaning beyond mere survival or short-term achievement. It transforms the mundane into the extraordinary because every action is anchored to a higher purpose. When you see your life as part of a larger design, setbacks lose their power to discourage you, distractions lose their power to derail you, and fear loses its ability to paralyze you. You operate from a space of strength and intentionality, knowing that every step, no matter how small, carries you toward the life you are meant to create. There is a subtle force that determines the trajectory of every human life, a force that often goes unnoticed because it operates quietly, invisibly, in the background. That force is the power of daily habits and the mental conditioning that comes from repeated thought and action. Most people believe that greatness is achieved in grand moments, through major decisions or during rare opportunities. But the truth is that life is won or lost in the seemingly small, repetitive choices we make day after day. Success, wealth, mastery, and influence are all the products of a system, a pattern, a consistent daily rhythm that aligns the mind and body with the vision of what you want to create. The human mind is like fertile soil. Whatever seeds you plant and water with attention will grow, whether those seeds are positive or negative. If you repeatedly indulge in doubt, procrastination, and distraction, your mind becomes overgrown with weeds that choke your potential. If, on the other hand, you cultivate habits of discipline, focus, learning, and proactive thought, your mind becomes a garden of power, opportunity, and insight. It is the small daily actions, rather than the occasional bursts of effort, that build the architecture of your life. Habits are the invisible forces that shape identity. You are not the person you imagine yourself to be. You are the sum of what you repeatedly do. Your thoughts, repeated day after day, become beliefs. Your beliefs, repeated day by day, shape your actions. Your actions, consistently applied, create results. Most people underestimate this chain because it is invisible. They chase motivation and big results while ignoring the silent accumulation of their daily mental and behavioral patterns. Yet the greatest achievers know this law intimately. They design their daily routines and mental exercises to align precisely with their purpose, their vision, and the person they intend to become. Mental conditioning is equally powerful. The repeated images, affirmations, meditations, and visualizations you practice daily shape your subconscious mind. Your subconscious does not differentiate between what is imagined and what is real. It accepts repeated thought as truth and programs the mind accordingly. This is why Napoleon Hill emphasized the importance of autosuggestion and repeated mental reinforcement. The human mind, trained to focus on success, opportunity, and mastery, becomes like a magnet, drawing circumstances, resources, and people into alignment with the life it has been conditioned to create. Conversely, An undisciplined mind, exposed to doubt, distraction, and fear, attracts obstacles, delays, and mediocrity. Consistency in daily habits also builds resilience. When you commit to deliberate routines that push you toward your goals, you teach yourself endurance and patience. You train your mind to persist even when external conditions are unfavorable. The daily discipline of small acts, rising early, reading, writing, learning, planning, exercising, or practicing your craft, creates a momentum that compounds over weeks, months, and years. By the time the world notices, the growth is undeniable, but the real transformation has already occurred internally. It is a silent evolution, invisible to most, but unstoppable to those who understand the law. One of the most overlooked truths is that your environment, the media you consume, the people you associate with, and the information you feed your mind are all elements of mental conditioning. Your habits extend beyond physical action into thought patterns and emotional reactions. If you surround yourself with negativity, laziness, or distraction, your mind absorbs it like a sponge. If you fill your mind with purpose-driven ideas, inspirational models, and high-value knowledge, your mind rises to that level. Your life becomes a reflection of your daily mental and emotional intake, just as much as it is a reflection of your actions. The mastery of daily habits also empowers decision-making. When your routines are aligned with purpose and your mind is conditioned for success, your decisions become sharper, faster, and more effective. You no longer hesitate in critical moments because the groundwork has already been laid. Your mind has been trained to respond rather than react. You act with clarity and confidence because your inner world has been systematically designed to produce the results you desire. This point reveals a powerful truth. Greatness is not spontaneous, and success is rarely accidental. It is the inevitable outcome of intentional, repeated, high-quality actions combined with mental conditioning that directs the full force of your subconscious toward your objectives. The difference between ordinary people and extraordinary achievers is rarely luck or innate talent. It is the consistent practice of aligning daily habits with long-term vision. It is the accumulation of invisible, deliberate work done every single day, regardless of comfort, distraction, or immediate reward. That invisible work becomes visible success over time, and it is relentless, unstoppable, and compounding in power. Persistence is the hidden engine behind every form of extraordinary success, the unseen force that separates those who dream from those who achieve. Most people believe that talent, opportunity, or luck determines their destiny, but these are only surface factors. What truly determines the outcome of any endeavor is the refusal to quit, the relentless continuation of effort in the face of failure, and the ability to adapt, adjust, and persist no matter the obstacles. Persistence is not just stubbornness, it is intelligent perseverance guided by purpose, strategy, and vision. It is the steady accumulation of effort that transforms difficulty into advantage, setbacks into lessons, and challenges into triumphs. The world is full of stories of people who gave up moments before their breakthrough. A single act of persistence, one more attempt, one more day of effort, one more refusal to surrender, can change everything. Yet most people stop, discouraged by temporary failure, distracted by comfort, or swayed by the opinions of others. They fail to see that success often arrives on the far side of struggle, waiting for those willing to endure when others quit. Persistence transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers because it activates qualities within the mind and character that only reveal themselves under pressure. Courage, creativity, resilience, and insight are born from repeated action in the face of adversity. Persistence is intimately connected with adaptability. It is not blind repetition, it is intelligent repetition. The person who persists without learning is destined to repeat mistakes, while the person who persists and adapts becomes unstoppable. Every setback provides feedback. Every failure contains a hidden opportunity, and every challenge offers a chance to improve strategy. Persistent individuals do not see failure as a final verdict. They see it as information, as a guidepost toward the right approach. They adjust, refine, and continue moving forward, transforming every obstacle into a stepping stone. One of the most powerful aspects of persistence is its ability to build character. Every time you refuse to quit, you are proving to yourself that your purpose is stronger than your temporary discomfort. You are teaching your mind and body that you are capable of enduring more than you once believed. This accumulated strength becomes a reservoir you can draw from in moments of extreme challenge. Over time, your persistence becomes a habit, a natural reflex. You no longer ask whether you should continue. You simply continue because persistence has been integrated into the fabric of who you are. Persistence also amplifies the effect of all other principles of success. Faith becomes stronger when persistence fuels it, because repeated action reinforces the belief that success is possible. Visionary focus gains power when persistent effort turns ideas into tangible progress. Emotional mastery is deepened when repeated challenges are met with calm, deliberate responses. Daily habits compound faster when persistence ensures that routines are maintained even during difficulty. Without persistence, all other qualities remain theoretical. With persistence, they become the tools that create reality. Another crucial aspect of persistence is patience. Many people think that effort should produce immediate results, and when results do not appear, they abandon their path. But persistence teaches the mind to operate on a timeline that may be invisible, slow, or unpredictable. Great accomplishments are rarely the result of a single leap. They are the sum of sustained effort over weeks, months, and years. Patience, reinforced by persistence, allows the mind to keep working, keep growing, and keep believing, even when external progress seems minimal. This is the silent work that leads to visible success. Persistence also inspires influence and attracts support. People naturally gravitate toward those who refuse to quit, who demonstrate unwavering commitment to a purpose, and who act consistently in alignment with their vision. Persistence creates credibility, respect, and trust, and it signals to the universe that you are ready to receive the opportunities, resources, and allies necessary for your mission. In essence, persistence is both a personal power and a magnetic force, drawing everything into alignment with your determination. Finally, persistence transforms fear into fuel. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, all of these are natural reactions, but persistence teaches the mind that fear is temporary and actionable steps are permanent. Every repeated act in spite of fear weakens its power, and every small victory reinforces courage. Over time, the persistent person becomes untouchable by doubt, almost invincible in their capacity to endure and overcome. They learn that the human spirit is far more resilient than the mind often allows itself to believe, and that persistence unlocks reservoirs of strength, creativity, and opportunity that would otherwise remain dormant. There is a truth that most people overlook. Your success is not measured solely by what you achieve for yourself, but by the influence you create and the ripple effects of your actions on the world around you. Every decision, every thought, every word, and every action sends waves into your environment, shaping relationships, opportunities, and the trajectory of others' lives, even in ways you cannot immediately see. Extraordinary people understand this principle and leverage it intentionally. They recognize that the impact of their work multiplies exponentially when they consider the broader network of influence they hold. Influence begins with personal integrity and alignment. When your actions are consistent with your values and your vision, people sense authenticity, and that authenticity becomes magnetic. It does not rely on force, persuasion, or superficial charm. It is the quiet power of someone who knows their purpose and lives it daily. When you act from alignment, your decisions carry authority, your communication carries weight, and your presence commands respect. Influence is not something to chase. It is a natural byproduct of mastery over yourself and your commitments. The ripple effect of your actions also amplifies through relationships. Every interaction, no matter how small, has the potential to inspire, to educate, or to open a door for someone else. Leaders, innovators, and high achievers understand that their success is multiplied when they uplift others, mentor them, and set examples that others can follow. The more deliberate you are in your actions, the more profound the influence becomes. Your vision and discipline inspire those around you to elevate their own standards, creating a chain reaction of growth that extends far beyond your immediate sphere. Influence also shapes opportunities in ways that are invisible at first. When people see consistent excellence, unwavering commitment, and courageous action, they are drawn to contribute, collaborate, and support. Doors open that would otherwise remain closed. Circumstances shift in your favor not because of luck, but because your persistent, purpose-driven actions have signaled to the world that you are ready, capable, and deserving. Influence is like gravity, subtle, invisible, yet inevitable in its effects over time. The power of influence is closely tied to the principle of example. Every choice you make, every obstacle you overcome, every challenge you meet with calm, courage, and determination becomes a lesson for others, even if they do not immediately recognize it. Your life becomes a silent teacher, your habits a curriculum, and your mindset a model for what is possible. The people you interact with are constantly learning from your actions, whether intentionally or not. And as your influence grows, the magnitude of the ripple effect expands, touching lives, creating alliances, and shaping communities. Influence also requires awareness of timing and resonance. It is not enough to act, you must act in alignment with your environment, understanding the currents of opportunity, human psychology, and societal trends. The most effective influencers know when to lead, when to guide, when to observe, and when to act decisively. Their actions are strategic, calculated, and purposeful, yet infused with authenticity and heart. Influence is a form of power, but unlike brute force, it is subtle, intelligent, and compounding. Moreover, the ripple effect reinforces your own growth. As you help others rise, you expand your network, your knowledge, and your experience. You are exposed to new perspectives, challenged to innovate, and tested in ways that accelerate your personal evolution. Influence is not a zero-sum game, it is a multiplier. The more value you create for others, the more you amplify your own potential. This principle is why successful people often credit their mentors, peers, and followers. They understand that influence flows in multiple directions, enriching both the giver and the receiver. Finally, mastering influence is about responsibility. The power to affect lives and outcomes carries weight. Your actions, decisions, and mindset do not exist in isolation. Every choice has consequences, seen and unseen. Those who achieve mastery and influence understand that their legacy is built not only on personal accomplishments, but on the lasting impact they leave on others. They move through life intentionally, aware that the energy they radiate, the courage they demonstrate, and the persistence they embody will echo far beyond their own lifetime, shaping the world in ways that extend far past themselves. There is a force more potent than knowledge, more enduring than skill, and more valuable than any opportunity you could ever encounter: the power of unwavering self-belief. Most people underestimate the role of belief in shaping reality. They wait for circumstances to prove their worth, they seek external validation, and they rely on the opinions of others to measure their potential. But the truth is that every great accomplishment begins in the mind, rooted in the conviction that you are capable, deserving, and prepared to rise to the challenge. Without self-belief, all strategies, all plans, and all efforts are weakened because the mind doubts the possibility of success before it even begins. Self-belief is not a vague, fleeting confidence. It is an unshakable conviction forged through discipline, experience, and alignment with purpose. It is the inner certainty that no external obstacle, criticism, or failure can diminish your capacity to overcome. Every individual who has achieved extraordinary success in history possessed this belief, often in the absence of evidence, in the midst of skepticism, and in circumstances that seemed impossible. They trusted in their vision and their potential more than they trusted the limitations imposed by the world around them. This is the essence of self-belief, a refusal to allow outside conditions to define the boundaries of what you can achieve. The power of self-belief amplifies every other principle of success. When you believe in yourself, your actions are purposeful, decisive, and consistent. Fear loses its ability to immobilize you because your inner conviction becomes louder than doubt. Vision becomes clearer because the mind trusts itself to navigate complexity. Persistence becomes unstoppable because failure is not an endpoint but feedback, and every challenge becomes an opportunity to demonstrate your own capacity. Self-belief acts as the foundation upon which the architecture of achievement is built. It is the silent, invisible engine driving every movement forward. Confidence derived from self-belief is contagious. People are drawn to those who carry unwavering conviction because it signals strength, reliability, and clarity of purpose. Leaders inspire teams not merely by charisma, but by the certainty that they know the path forward and that they trust in the abilities of themselves and those around them. Investors, partners, and collaborators are naturally drawn to individuals who project quiet confidence because it reduces uncertainty and amplifies perceived potential. This is why self-belief is not only a personal asset but a strategic advantage in every sphere of influence. Self-belief is strengthened by preparation and repetition. Every skill you develop, every habit you cultivate, and every incremental success becomes evidence that reinforces your conviction. The mind internalizes proof, building a feedback loop that strengthens confidence and resilience. Even when challenges arise, the individual with strong self-belief can draw upon this inner evidence, reminding themselves not only of what they have achieved, but also of what they are capable of achieving. Confidence is not arrogant or boastful. It is anchored in the undeniable reality of your ability to act, adapt, and succeed. Moreover, self-belief transforms fear into fuel. When you truly trust your ability to navigate challenges, fear no longer paralyzes you. It becomes a signal for growth, a reminder that you are stretching beyond comfort, a motivator to rise to a higher level of performance. Every fear you confront and overcome reinforces your inner strength, creating a compounding effect that continuously expands your capacity. The person who masters self-belief moves forward in the presence of fear with clarity, composure, and courage, turning what could have been an obstacle into a source of power. Self-belief also fuels creativity and innovation. When you trust yourself, you are willing to experiment, take calculated risks, and explore paths that others dismiss as impossible. You are no longer constrained by the fear of judgment, the weight of doubt, or the potential for failure. Your mind becomes fertile ground for ideas to grow, and your actions become the vehicle that transforms those ideas into tangible outcomes. Without self-belief, even brilliant ideas wither. With it, even modest beginnings can lead to monumental achievements. Finally, the power of self-belief is transformative because it shapes identity. The beliefs you hold about yourself define the actions you take, the goals you pursue, and the results you achieve. When self-belief is strong, it creates a person who embodies resilience, determination, and courage. It aligns thoughts, emotions, and actions in harmony with your vision. It turns ordinary effort into extraordinary results because the mind refuses to accept anything less than the possibility of success. It is the invisible force that sustains all the other principles of achievement, the anchor that steadies you through uncertainty, and the engine that propels you toward greatness. And now, as we reach this moment together, remember this: every principle we've explored, the power of faith, the clarity of vision, the discipline of daily habits, the courage to act, the mastery of emotions, the unwavering persistence, and the unshakable self-belief exists inside you right now. You do not need permission from the world, approval from others, or perfect circumstances to begin. The potential to achieve greatness, to shape your destiny, and to leave a legacy far greater than yourself is already within you. The only thing standing between you and the life you imagine is your willingness to step forward, to trust yourself, to act relentlessly, and to refuse to quit. Every setback is temporary, every challenge is a lesson, and every fear is fuel for the fire of your inner power. Your future is not something that happens to you. It is something you create, one deliberate action at a time, one belief at a time, and one moment of courage at a time. So rise with intention. Step into the person you were born to be. Harness the principles, the habits, and the mindset you have learned today. Let your life become the proof that the hidden rules of success are not hidden for long. They reveal themselves to those bold enough to live them. And as you move forward, remember this: your destiny is not written by the world. It is written by the choices you make, the actions you take, and the unwavering belief you carry in your heart. Go and create the extraordinary life that is waiting for you.